4, 3, 2.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here with us today. Can you please state your name, spell it out for me, and your position?
Shed Dawson, ShedDawson, Jr. And I'm the Greek Life Coordinator for Savannah State University.
Thank you, sir. Can you please explain to us exactly what is stepping?
Stepping is, in Greek life, an opportunity for chapters to kind of come together, spend time together on their own outside of doing their community service projects and their meetings and their conferences. And it provides an opportunity to kind of work together, to put together a little show of dance routines, different choreographed movements. And in doing that, it provides them, team building, bonding. It actually provides some leadership experience for the students, motivating each other to continue to do better and better and better, and to get it as precise and as perfect as possible. They use that for recruiting opportunities where other students can see them working together and they can see the unity of their chapter. They use it for fundraising. If you go to step shows and you win a step show, you can win up to $10,000. In some cases, usually around $1,500, $2,000. If you can get first place. And it gives them an opportunity to take road trips and to travel and meet other members of their fraternity and other fraternities and sororities. So it's just a good bonding exercise for the groups, but also a fundraiser.
And where does stepping actually occur?
Well, when you say occur, what do you mean?
Like, where does it happen just on campus? Or?
So it can, stepping can occur just about anywhere. Oftentimes, if you ever go out and late on a Sunday, you will see Greeks stepping in the parking lot when they get out of their meetings. Usually they have some pretty intense meetings. They're very honest. They're very straightforward in those meetings. There are a number of leaders at the table. And so stepping is an opportunity for them to relieve their stress. You'll also see stepping at local schools. Lately, we've been doing a lot of pep rallies for the school testing, and there'll be the opening act to kind of get the students kind of excited. So we do it as a community service opportunity, but also you'll see stepping at various step shows across the state, across the country of groups. And even on television, movies are being made about Greeks, and one primary part is going to be stepping. So you'll see it all over the place in all different types of ways.
And where does stepping originate from?
Well, stepping originated in two different kind of ways. The stepping that you see now actually has a much more intense meaning to it than the stepping as it started for the Greeks. And so originally stepping, as we don't know it now, started when a number of military retirees or military vets left the Korean War, left the Vietnam War, especially with the GI Bill, and they started coming on to college campuses and joining fraternities. And one thing they knew was how to march in line. And so part of the pledging process was to march in line, and so they just choreographed that. And so it would be a left, left face, right face type of thing. And groups would just have these trick steps that they would do, double left face, double right face, double rear march, and that kind of thing, and they would just step. That was it. They would just call in cadence, and you responded. As groups started to find ways to outdo other organizations, they started to do it in ways that they had silent stepping. And so there were no calling of cadence. And so you had to memorize the entire step from front to end without calling the cadence. And so that began to move forward into different uniforms, different acts. Lately we've gotten into videos and things of that nature. But now the actual stepping with the tapping of the hands and the stomping of the feet, the way we see it now definitely embodies a type of ritual type of deal, and I don't want to call it a ritual, it's more of a life-saving opportunity that the coal miners in Angola and Zimbabwe, where they had the, not coal mines, but the diamond mines. And they would wear chains, not chains that you would think about shackles, but almost like jewelry. Chains, almost like the pendant bracelets with the trinkets on it. They wear those types around their ankles, around their hands. And as they would walk into the mines, and as they're working in the coal mine, they would shuffle their feet or slap their hands every once in a while to a beat, letting everybody know that everyone was still alive in the cave. And so they would do it in tandem. So each person would do it as you move down the line. And so if you heard silence in certain areas, you knew to check on that one person in that area to make sure that everybody in that area was getting oxygen or that everyone was okay. And so after a while, those guys would come out of the mine and use those same beats that they did in the mines. In the end of the day, when they would go for drinks or go to hang with their family at family celebrations, when you would have a number of those miners working or at the celebration together, and they would do the same thing they would do in the diamond mine for the family and dance around. And so somehow we shifted and added and grown stepping to include the military step, to include contemporary dance movements, and to include those historical things from the diamond mines in Africa.
Okay, hold on 2 seconds. I'm just going to do a slight defense shot here. And we're almost done.
Okay.
Why is stepping unique?
Well, it originally was unique. It's not as unique as it used to be. It was unique in that it was something that you would see specifically among traditionally, historically, black fraternities and sororities. It was a way, again, for them to do their fundraising. It was something within each individual organization that when they would have their conferences, they would have a step show for the undergraduates at that conference, which was very unique. Out of the 400 and some odd fraternities and sororities that exist, there were 9 that did this kind of stepping thing specifically as a part of their conferences, and they would do it on the state level, regional level, and even the national level. They have national winners that would represent, the fraternity officially. And so that was something that was very unique. But as it became very popular, it became very interesting. Again, people want this belongingness. They want to be a part of things. And so when people saw the opportunities to kind of melt with other people on campuses, if you look at your HBCUs and you go across the board, even here, we begin to get halls that would step against each other. You would have non-Greek step shows. You would have non-Greek organizations that begin stepping. And then you would have other non-NPHC organizations that begin to take on stepping and strolling at parties and things of that nature. Here we even have our student orientation leaders have a stroll. Freshman groups of students will come together, not affiliated with any organization, will come up with strolls and steps that they would have for each other. So it's just a great opportunity for students to kind of spend time together in a productive, functional kind of way, and to come out with a positive result.
Now, is there a difference between stepping and strolling?
It's a little bit different. They like to say that with strolling, anyone can stroll, but not everyone can step. And so stepping is very precise. In most cases, it is going out as a performance. And so there will be auditions to get on the team, and there will be cuts to get off the step team. And so in many cases, only the absolute best, and teams will break down and change their routine. If they can only got 5 or 6 people in the chapter that can step, they'll change everything for those 5 or 6 people to make that the absolute best, most precise show possible. And then that step team will practice, 3-4 times a week. The other members will come out and watch and all. But during those practices, what the strolls started off as were transition moves. And so strolling is about stepping while moving to a different position. And so many teams would take, which are, those real short, real easy. And so those people in the chapter that didn't have a lot of rhythm and body motion going on could actually take those easy transition steps, add it to music, and you didn't have to look to be the best. And so in fact, if you have a large chapter and you're not the best stroller, then you could kind of get in the middle or in the back because everyone's kind of looking at the person in the front that's really performing, and they'll kind of forget about you by the time you roll by. But you get a chance to participate, to be involved in it, and really be seen in public and participate with your organization.
Yeah, I'm going to throw in just a couple of quick ones, Mr. Dawson. You know what? You talked about the diamond mines in Angola. What point in history was that? I mean, is that several hundred years ago? Is that 20th century? Is that 1800s?
It is, 20, it's 100 years ago, it's today. They're still mining in Angola, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Namibia. They all have, the mines are still there.
Yes.
And they're still using some of those same antiquated processes with the chains, and maybe not as choreographed as now, but they still do those same dances at parties and things of that nature. But of course, they have a great deal more technology in there and the machinery and digital things that are helping, but it's still dangerous, extremely dangerous.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
I know some of the most dangerous stuff you can do. The point of this whole piece is really about, so the short story is, graduated from college in '88. Second reporter job, 1991, working in Chattanooga. Go to UTC Chattanooga. My first step show. My mind was just blown. You know, I went to a little white Southern Baptist school, so we didn't have Black Greeks.
Right.
And my mind was just blown, and I was so sorry I did not go to HBCU at that point. It has that effect on people, though, right? I mean, that's kind of the magic of stepping.
Right. And that is exactly it. It gives a stamp, or it gives it's an identifier. It's a part of HBCU life. It's a part of Black Greek life. And it's one of those things that, you know, when blacks in America take their part, they really make it unique, and the ways they exemplify everyday things in America. And that's one of the, you know, critical parts of African American culture, is the unique perspective that African Americans take on everyday things. And so we have to be very careful in that when we look and allow, you know, media and different television stations and things of that nature, and especially the music, to really redefine our take on everyday things. And you know, we deal with that challenge on a regular basis in Greek life. And so we have to work to really get back to how they found that form of stepping through their research and their study. Because when you come into Black Greek life and you hear Black and you hear Greek, and it doesn't make sense. And so we study Black Greek, we understand that the first universities were in Kemet and Ethiopia and in Egypt. And our Greeks do a little bit more research and understand how it got to be Greek. And they learn from the Egyptian mystery system, Kemetic Egyptian system. And so we've gotten away from doing that research. And talking to a number of students now, we find that they can't tell that same story as 10 years ago our Greeks could have. And so in the transition.
So we can lose sight of a really ancient heritage, 3,000, 5,000, 6,000 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is a conflict, though, and you mentioned it just briefly the other day when we talked, that somehow the dazzle of all this can overshadow the root things that Black Greek life is trying to achieve. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Right. In many cases, people will look at stepping. In my office, the number one request I get is for people to come and step for their children. It works great for the CRCT test pep rally. What we've done now is actually moved away. We get them to come, they do the step,